said, get that heat.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Swerving in out of lanes, party all like every day. I'ma keep on going, I just want another 100K. Shawty wanna let it rain, right up down my everything. I'm here to terror, got me serving through the interstate. Yeah, ran away from the past and the nonsense. Tired of toxic ends, not an option. Made it up from the mud, I'ma find this. Taking off hella fast, I'm a Martian. Yeah, pressure on my body on sync. Yeah, never had a copy for the clicks. No.
What's up guys, I'm Landon from Shoeware, and today we're checking out one of Puma's newest basketball shoes, the Fusion Nitro in the Sunblaze colorway. So first, thank you guys for stopping by to check us out. Feel free to drop a follow or subscribe wherever you're watching this video and give this a like. We would greatly appreciate that. But now let's go ahead and hit on the box and the price first. So these do come in a pretty basic black and white Puma box that you see a lot of shoes come in from Puma. That logo does kind of pop up in a few different places kind of across that box, but you know, really nothing too special to speak of. So moving on to the price, these are retailing for $130, so middle of the pack, but I guess a little more on the expensive side for Puma basketball shoes, but still nothing too crazy. So before we get into the materials and the performance, I want to take a quick look at the appearance for these shoes first. So on the surface, this shoe actually looks nearly identical to the Puma Clyde All Pro that I actually have on the backdrop here. I mean, the midsole is extremely similar, like even where that line splits, but I guess the midsole on these do run a little bit higher, kind of towards the back on the Fusion Nitro, just compared to that Clyde design. And then sticking with the back, you can see the model name Nitro pop up near the heel, kind of along with the Puma logo above it. And then there is a band that kind of runs across the middle of the shoe, which sort of created like a unique lacing setup, which looks pretty cool in my opinion. And there are some like different lines and like engraved all across the upper on these shoes, but overall, like I said, you know, it's a similar look to some previous models, so there's really not that much to go in depth on. All right, so now looking more at the performance side and breaking down the materials, I'll start with the cushioning first. So the cushion is one of the highlights for this shoe. These feature Nitro foam, which does give these a pretty soft feel to play in, and the responsiveness is definitely nice. And these are lightweight, so it sort of helps with that too, but sticking with the positives and jumping down to the bottom of these to look at traction, that is easily the selling point for this new shoe. So the traction is super sticky to play in. I mean, these grip the floor like crazy indoors, and they do have some similar success for outdoor use, but I wouldn't really recommend it for outdoors because the foam is pretty soft and, you know, the grooves aren't really all that deep, so it probably will begin to wear away pretty quickly. So the cushion though and the traction are the two main things to enjoy from this new shoe line. But moving on to the upper, that is going to be where the Puma Fusion Nitro does start to take some steps back. So the materials used on the upper have a super thin sort of like rubber or plastic feel to them. And, you know, Puma does state that the upper is highly technical and flexible. And, you know, I see no lies for the flexibility, but not necessarily in the best way. I feel like Puma almost did it to themselves by making a shoe with such strong traction because the upper just doesn't really seem to handle those hard cuts nearly as well as the outsole does for that grip. So on sharp and hard movements, you can kind of feel your foot pushing against the materials and, you know, sometimes even coming outside of the shoe just a little bit. So I would say that the lockdown really isn't the best. Something unique on these shoes, though, is going to be that lacing setup. You can see how it kind of skips what would be that traditional lacing because of that band that kind of runs through the middle of the shoe. And, you know, I actually didn't have any issues with the lacing on these, but supposedly that compression band is supposed to be for like, you know, some added support, but I honestly don't think it added all that much, or I guess at least not enough to kind of keep up with the traction. But especially with there being no outrigger on these shoes, that's just a piece you can normally find on the shoe on the outside that kind of protrudes out somewhat to like brace your foot whenever you're making those different hard cuts. So, I mean, I guess just altogether, the upper is kind of lacking in a few different areas. But for sizing, these are actually a little bit of a snug fit, so you may want to consider going a half size up. So add to that these being a little bit more on the narrow side, so that would definitely be something to consider. But, you know, overall, there are some good and some bad things for this new Puma Fusion Nitro basketball shoe. The cushioning is solid, and, you know, I have to say the traction is excellent, but the rest of the shoe definitely doesn't really line up with that very well. So that kind of leaves some weaknesses that almost, you know, kind of lead to taking away from the traction benefit, because it's a little bit tough to trust the bite on these shoes whenever you have, you know, that potential of sliding your foot out and like rolling your ankle or even worse. So with the somewhat higher retail price, I would have maybe liked a little bit more of a consistent, like all around playing experience, but you know, there's still some positives to take away that came from this new design that you should like. All right, that pretty much wraps up our unboxing and performance review on the Puma Fusion Nitro Sunblaze. Thank you guys for taking some time to watch. If you're interested in purchasing these shoes, just check out the links in the description below. And then last, just feel free to leave a comment below if you like this video or just kind of letting us know any other shoes you may want us to check out. But until next review, I'm Landon from Shoeware. Peace.